Radio K, Real College Radio. We are live in studio with Appleton resident and Minnesota native Eli Orion. How are you feeling coming off that performance?
That was you guys killed it. That was really fun and awesome.
Well, yeah, I was wondering if the full band would like to, introduce themselves, tell us what instruments they play.
I'm Hana Ramos, and I play guitar.
I'm Tyler Bussey, and I play bass.
I'm Eli, and I play guitar and sing and fiddle.
I'm Isaac Corby, and I play guitar.
I'm Tyler Donnelly, and I play drums.
Yeah, I guess to start off, how did this lineup come to be? How did you all start playing music together?
We all go to school at Lawrence University in Appleton, and I had written this album of sort of more pop rock tunes, and I was like, well, how do I promote these recordings to people? Because the recordings meant a lot to me, but I wasn't really sure how to share them and get people interested in them. And I'd seen people on campus, and I'd done a little bit of the rock band stuff so far, and it seemed appealing. So I gathered my close friends and collaborators and everyone who I thought was really good at playing this kind of music, and it ended up being these four guys. And so we played the album and the album songs for a little while, and then I started writing new stuff with the band in mind, and that's what the EP is more like rock band oriented specific music. So yeah, we've been around for pretty much 2 years now. Yeah.
And I was hoping you could walk us through the beginning of your musical life. What were some of the first artists that you got into, and this extends to the rest of the band, first artists that you guys got into, and were there any particular people in your life that really got you into music?
Someone want to go first?
So originally, I'm actually mainly a reggae drummer. I guess I'll answer your latter question first. An important musical influence in my life is my father. He sort of took me under his wing from a young age and let me play drums in his band while I was still learning, which is very gracious of him because I messed up a lot. But I pretty much learned how to play drums on the stage. And my favorite sort of genres of music that I sort of grew up with were actually reggae. Like Bob Marley is the first name that comes to mind, who's really special to me.
Yeah, as of late, one of the biggest inspirations I'm trying to sort of channel in my playing in this band is guitarist Mark Rebo, who I recently had the privilege to get to play a song with. He came to Lawrence and played a show. I grew up listening to a lot of Tom Waits, and he was sort of Tom Waits' main guitar guy who specializes in avant-garde styles of playing and thinking outside of what a guitar player might normally do, the role that they play. And that's sort of the role that I fit into in this band. Hana, has a lot of the really nice, clean lead and rhythm stuff, and Eli has the open tuning, acoustic thing. And so I'm left as the sound entity.
The way I feel the way I usually answer this question is shout out Adam Young, Owl City. I heard Fireflies on my sister's karaoke machine. It had this demo karaoke version of it. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And then he was the first person who I started listening to a lot on my own, of my own volition. And just the fact that he was making all this stuff in his parents' bedroom at 19, 18, got me interested, I think, probably in producing music. And also just the fact that you can't really you can trace it, but at the time I hadn't heard really any emo music, any hip hop music, any of the trip hop, and so I didn't know, this comes from this comes from that. It was a totally new sound, and I think that's a big thing that I'm trying to do with music in general, is combine all sorts of things from all sorts of different traditions, but you can't exactly tell where it comes from, and it's a little puzzle to figure out what is this actually. And then I don't know, grew up through AJR, and I don't listen to AJR anymore, unfortunately, but I guess now I've been super into this stuff that happening in the LA jazz scene with Sam Wilkes and Sam Gendel and Sam Amidon, the sort of the triangle of Sam's, and then and also Daryl Johns, who, shout out Daryl Johns if you guys are probably into that stuff. I don't know, Tyler.
Yeah. My parents introduced me to a lot of the music that I love and still influences me, the 70s stuff, particularly Rush and all the progressive rock kind of stuff. My dad, his bass is the one that I play, the one that you just heard on the air, and so I really credit him. And then I kind of developed my music taste more in some of the indie rock and folk things that I'm listening to now. But I just kind of try to be a generalist whenever possible and kind of bring my own creativity to an instrument that I think gets panned for being uncreative sometimes, whereas like my influences are all like very creative takes on the instrument. So yeah.
I'm from Hawaii, so I have a lot of varied musical background, and also my family is pretty musical and has a pretty eclectic taste. But my biggest musical influence, for sure, when I started playing, was Mark Knopfler from Dire Straits, and in the last couple months, I've really sort of gotten back into paying attention to his playing, and I've sort of gravitated back towards a cleaner sound on my electric, as Isaac was talking about, because I noticed that when we play in these venues that are really loud, sometimes if you have your guitar too distorted, it kind of gets swallowed up by the room, and if it's clean, it has a little more attack, and it has a little more presence of the actual note. So I've gotten really into that lately.
To just say one more thing about the self-produced thing and the inspirations that I was like around when I started listening to Owl City. I think I also discovered Animals by Martin Garrix, and then I was like, oh my god, the EDM, and so I sort of followed that through to the like SoundCloud, the SoundCloud scene in 2020 with all the hyperpop and since we were alone and we all had to make stuff on our computers, and then eventually the medium became Rock Band, but.
And, you all seem to have, like, an incredibly diverse range of influences, like, amongst you. And I know, Eli, you're, like, the main songwriter. But what does the songwriting process, like, look like? How does each of you contribute and such?
We should talk about writing Wilt. That tune, we had just started playing with the band together. It had been, like, 3 months. And the album was, like, on its way out. The album from, like 2 years ago now, which is crazy. And we were, we'd played a couple shows, and then it was spring break again, and so I always come back. We always come back here for spring break, and we came back to we're really lucky because we get to stay at my parents' house over spring break while we're playing. We're playing these shows like we got to last year as well, but I was just goofing around. I was really sick. I had diarrhea and stuff, and I had nothing to do, and I was writing these songs about that feeling. So that's what Wilt's about. I don't know. I had this this idea on the guitar, and I brought it to the band, and I had been arranging everything really specifically because there were recordings that we were transcribing with the band to perform and share the recordings. But this time it was like, I don't know, I have like the song, and you guys come up with stuff. And what did you come up with?
All of our parts.
Yeah, that's like I think kind of one of the only songs that we had like as a band such a hand in arranging. I think like we had the broad ideas going into it, but then it's just being in a room together and having that kind of like spirit of improvisation and like trying new things. But then out of that improvisation, we usually come to a consensus on like what works best, and then we get really detailed, and then we get like really particular about, I want this moment to happen at only this part, or I want this to be this exact way every time, which I think is sort of part of our signature sound, I guess. But it was fun to be able to create that together and kind of go back and forth about those certain decisions, which come about whenever we were learning a new song and kind of taking something from the recording and trying to adapt it to a live sound. But, we're kind of making something from just a demo from new. So that was a really fun experience.
So the thing I really appreciate about Eli's band and his like sort of approach is his idea of every single note you play, like having a specific meaning or like matter, like a specific like role, each thing you hit. So I think that is like writing Wilt was sort of the first time I got to experience that sort of composing style. The other interesting thing about that song is the drums were actually the first like track. So it was like, I remember I was just like basically just had a click going, and then because we'd already like played the song a little bit before that, so then I basically just had a click going, and then I was just playing along to the song and then like singing it in my head, which is pretty much what also this was just here. Yeah, no, very cool composition style by Eli.
A particular moment of collaboration that I think was probably my favorite of at least the recording aspect. Yeah, I knew you knew I was going to talk about. At least in the recording, I don't know if anyone else did it today. I hope I wasn't the only person. There's a point where we all go, huh? This has been dubbed the Philly or the Philadelphia, huh? It was inspired by music from Philadelphia and sort of the shoegaze scene, where we found that a lot of the time, at some point during like the chorus or just like accents of certain beats, the band will go, huh? It's in Feeble Little Horse songs. It's in Alex G songs.
I don't even know if they're not even they're like from Pittsburgh or something. I might be making that.
It's whatever. But like we all sat around in the jazz room, like where we practice, and got like several takes of us all just like trying to get this particular sound. And it's just this one little, it really is this one little moment that just shows up, and it's super compressed and like affected and stuff. And it's just a nice little like piece of all of our souls that got thrown in there.
I thought you were going to talk about the thing in the chorus where Tyler, when Tyler was recording the drums, he did this really cool fill, and then I think I gave the demo maybe to you. I gave the demo to Tyler, and Tyler played along to that rhythm. It's like the sort of the climax of the song, and then we gave it to Isaac to record the tambourine over, and Isaac did it on the tambourine, and then it was like, okay, we got to produce around this entire thing, and then every time that we've played it live, we've done this. So if you listen to Wilt, there's that little, like right in the middle of the song. Okay.
I love to hear the Philly influence. And that actually kind of leads into my next question. But like, how have your influences in like writing process? You kind of brought this up already, but like, how have your influences changed? I guess as like you've been writing more and as you've kind of started writing for the band, I guess, and like, what even are your major influences for your like the Eli Orion stuff in general?
Well, this is interesting because right now it feels like it's very much the internet and whatever I see when I'm like, doing what I'm not supposed to at like 4 a.m, scrolling over and over, and it's like, okay, man, go to bed. But then that's what gets in your head, and so it's and that's also, you're trying to appeal to the culture, and so much of the culture right now is like right there. But I want to get away from that because I realize that, well, it's like super cool. It's not. It's only cool now, and I'm gonna look back in here and it's like, come on, man. All the horses, come on, man. And so I want to look to more, and that's what I really appreciate about all of you guys is the deeper breadth of influences and the more sustainable, like going back to like the real history of these musical traditions that we're carrying on. And I want to keep looking back because I feel like I sort of did the review, and I did the classical violin growing up, and then I did the like the EDM stuff and the rock band stuff and the jazz in school, and I want to read more books. It's like reading more books and getting a more sustainable understanding of the history of culture through a longer time than just like on the internet right now. But I don't know. That's a change that I'm thinking about right now.
And you're currently touring for your EP that you put out in the summer.
Yeah, in June. Yeah.
In June, Morning After Again.
Mm-hmm.
What did the like recording process for that look like? How'd that kind of come together?
Fun. Do you want to tell the story of it? So, okay, obviously I got Tyler. It was like a year and a half ago, and I had Tyler record the drums for Wilt, and we sort of over that fall we like put that one together, and I mixed it over the spring. I also got outsider music legend God's Computer to come up with the sort of like the vocal ideas on Stable, which was just a demo. I was listening to the Jane Remover stuff and Flash in the Pan, and it's like, I want to make something like this because she's combining rock and hip hop in ways that I'm interested in. And I still haven't listened to Revenge Seekers, but I've heard it's good. So I wanted to engage with the internet in that way, and God's Computer was doing cool stuff. So, and then I had this demo of Stay at Home, and my friend Buster from Bristol, I was visiting him. And we worked on that, and he was awesome. He's an amazing vocalist. And so we wrote those parts of that one, and then it was like, okay, we have Wilton Stable, and those are like recorded. Now I got to get the demo versions of Stay at Home and Morning into real versions, and that's where Tyler came in because we didn't record track the drums first. You should talk about that.
So our school has this awesome chapel. So me and Eli, actually, I guess it was more your decision to record the drums in there. So it's just this funny image where it was like late at night on like, I don't even remember, like a Sunday night, and me and Eli just alone in this like ginormous chapel with just like drums mic'd up. And yeah, no, it was like a specific time in my life where there was some emotions brewing, and I think those got channeled pretty effectively into that drum part. So I was very happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, it was cool. We used these huge mics up in the big corners of the chapel, where it's like you're usually hearing church music and organ and choir and stuff. And it was fun to engineer. It was a challenge. I feel like I learned how to mix drums over the course of this project. You guys have anything about the recording process?
I mean, just briefly, I think it's very cool to have had an opportunity to play on Eli's stuff because generally he records everything himself. So whenever I've got a chance to actually play on one of his records, it's always nice because, you kind of go in and, I mean, we're all pretty much used to improvising and used to, like, it's all fairly diatonic music, so it's not particularly foreign to us, but it's kind of nice to go in and hear a tune that maybe we've played one or two times and then record something, and then Eli's, I think of him sort of first and foremost as like a producer. So you go in and you do your thing, and then maybe a couple weeks later you get to hear his like rough mix, and it's like, did I play that, or did he take it and mess around with it, or it's always kind of a fun little game to go back and listen to yourself once he's had his hands on it.
I'll just say briefly of the recording process. I don't, like was said, Eli just mostly records most of his own stuff. And so whenever I do get a chance to hear what he's working on, it feels like a peek behind the curtain, like into some magical world that is completely like chameleonic. I think you do a lot of things, and I'm always surprised and excited by what I hear. But it's like not often I get to glimpse. We're all very close friends, but I think, I don't know, it just doesn't come up much, or you kind of keep it close to the chest. So whenever I hear your next thing, it's like, oh, okay, we're here now. I better gear up for this new sound, and then we adapt, and then we make it live.
You kind of briefly mentioned it, but I wanted to know how that collab or with God's Computer came about. I heard you mention that like during the song, and we didn't have the backing track in studio, so I didn't hear the vocals. And then I was like, oh my gosh, mention God's Computer.
I don't know. I was seeing what he was doing, and it was like really fun, and it was really unique, and it was very, I don't know. It made sense. It was what it was. It felt like a connection to the world of I'm on my phone too much that would enhance the music very. I couldn't figure out what to write, and so I DM'd him and I said, hey, here's this. Do you want to? I knew he was working with a lot of other producers, and I was like, hey, I'll shoot my shot, and he was like into it, and I was surprised, and that meant a lot because he's well connected and he's doing really cool stuff. But it was just fun to work with him because he has such a unique vocal sound.
Yeah, no, that's like awesome. It's really neat to hear like how that came about. And you're in post-hardcore band Radio Caroline, along with a bunch of other stuff. And like I was wondering what differentiates your solo work from your other projects.
It's really, really special to be able to. I thought that within this context, I'd done a little bit of the classical violin since I took a lot of lessons growing up, and I was in the Greater Twin Cities Youth Symphonies for a while, and then I've done a little bit of that in college. But that until college, really, that was my only experience contributing to a bigger ensemble than myself, and like high school choir. So to be able to take these instruments that I was just starting to learn, like guitar or piano, and contribute, like I play in Hannah's band, Lyle's Tree, I play piano, and I play guitar and some other stuff now. It meant a lot for Dominic from Radio Caroline to ask me to play on that, because I thought that I was more of like a composer and that I wasn't like at that level yet. Because what we're doing in that band is like it's really special. It's like engaging with the tradition of music that I'm not particularly familiar with, but that I can tell means so much to so many people. And so it feels really validating to be able to fill the role that these four are filling in my band for other bands, because it's like, okay, good, I'm not just this guy who like collects people and has them play for me. I can be one of the people who's, a part of pushing an idea and a project too.
And you guys are all in other bands, I think. That's from what I've heard. And I'd like to extend that question to all of you. Like, what makes playing in this different?
I would say my the other band that I'm in here is my band Lyle's Tree, and we're just kind of like a 70s-ish jazz rock thing. And so there's a lot of improvisation, and there's a lot of stretching the boundaries of composition where it feels appropriate. And I think the thing I was just talking to Isaac about this the other day. The thing that I love about playing in Eli Orion is we get to just sort of show up and deliver this product that we've rehearsed and rehearsed and rehearsed. And I was actually not a big proponent of using a click when we originally started using a click like a year and change ago. I was kind of like, I don't know about this. This is sort of because I'm a bit of an old head. But in a couple months, I really got used to it. And the more we've played with it, the more sort of gratifying it is. Because, like, for example, I also play in the Lawrence University Jazz Ensemble, which is a big band at our school. And, we have these songs that we learn over the course of 10 weeks, and then we perform once. And it's really cool music a lot of the time. And a lot of the time it's really just sort of like, we should be playing this more. Like last term, or 2 terms ago now, in the fall, we got to play with Ari Honig, who's a famous percussionist, and it was all music that he'd arranged with Ben Markley and his big band. And it was like probably some of the coolest music I've ever played in my life. And we played it once, and then we played it another time to like submit to the Downbeat Awards. And it was like, man, I wish we could do this more. And so with this stuff, for Eli Orion, it's been really awesome to just like learn the songs, get the arrangements, and really just get into the compositions, and then, find a place where it's like, you're not just playing it anymore. You're just kind of like living inside of it. And you really like know the tunes well enough, and the arrangements, and like all of the cues and all of the time changes and all these things just well enough to, I don't know, like know it like a glove.
I'll say that we're talking about like showing this up as a product. I think like it's like theater almost to me, and that's kind of where I grew up performing in, and so it's where I'm most comfortable. And what I love about this band is that it is very composed, it is very set, and that's not what all music should be, but I really like it for this, and I like being able to show up and have an act almost, because we are so inside of it by now that we're really being able to be playful on stage and with each other and with the parts. I think because it is so composed, that kind of lends to a freedom for me, at least.
Okay, I want everyone to imagine a diagram where it starts out, where is, in this case, so the x-axis is time and the y-axis is like enjoyment and how much you're not getting bored. And over time, as we're playing like the same exact stuff the exact same way, you start to enjoy it less and less and less and less, because it's like the same and it's not changing. And then there's like a moment where it clicks and it's like, oh, we're doing the same thing, and you stop thinking about it, and then you start to enjoy it more and more again, because everyone knows exactly what to do, and you can start like looking at other people and you don't have to think at all, and you're entirely feeling it. I think I said something like that another time, but that's how it feels to me to have been doing the same thing for this long.
Yeah, I only recently got over that slump of the diagram. Like, this tour has really allowed me actually to fall back in love with this music. This was like really the first band that I've ever like played with where we had like actual, gigs, and this music was stuff that we played a lot and not just to like our friends or people on campus and stuff. And yeah, like when we first started tour like a week and a half ago, I was kind of down because of the things that so far everyone has been like happy about. Is like, it felt sort of like, man, we're still playing this and it still sounds like this. And especially I think because of tracks and click and stuff, like things can become like so concrete, like it's like a wall that you can't move. And yeah, just like I've found a lot of joy now in not necessarily being happy that it's like so in my fingers or whatever, but like trying to find the root, like how did I feel when I first heard it, and trying to recreate that feeling, or trying to like think about it in a new way, or like see like what things I can change subtly, like what are the boundaries of what this idea is, like how much wiggle room do I have. And yeah, we played at Amsterdam a couple nights ago, and it felt like that was the moment where I got over the ledge, and I was like, oh, okay, this is actually really awesome again.
Yeah, so Eli's band has a really unique set of seemingly juxtaposing things that it's like made up of. So it's like when I think of Eli's music, I think of simplicity, but also like complexity, because it's all through composed, but it's like the things that are through composed aren't necessarily complicated, but some of them are. And then the other two juxtaposing things are, it's like improvisational, but also through composed. Like there's like components of each, and it sort of has like just enough of each of those four things to keep me just like completely on the hook. And it's like, this is the only band I'm in where I like play with like a backing track and a click, and it's really like freeing in a lot of ways. Like a lot of drummers would think it's like not freeing, but I actually think it is, because it sort of like relinquishes this role I have to just sit there and keep time to like this robot, this like machine, we like to call it. So yeah, no, it's really freeing, and it's really like fun to mess around with, because I haven't really done much of this before.
I don't have too many more questions, but I did want to, just an aside, like, you've been mentioning the click track a lot. Like, how did the idea to play with a click track come about? It seems like there was some rough reception to it at first, but now everyone seems to really like it. So
the album is called Everything You Didn't Want to Hear, and I made those songs like 4 or 5 years ago now. I started that and put it out 2 years ago. But the idea was like, I'm trying to learn from all these different pop traditions that I'm hearing about all over the place, and combine them together into a whole bunch of different songs about whatever I was feeling in my life at the time. And it was very produced. It was like Hannah said, I was recording it all on my own, and then bringing it to the band. And so there was a while where we played that by itself. We came up with ways to represent the parts on our instruments, and that was a super fun challenge. Like, I enjoyed that a lot, and it was a really fun way to engage with the music. But then I was like, hey, we're called The Everything, because the band was called The Everything at the time that we were promoting and touring that album, and the idea was like, well, if this album is so much about all this production and all this ear candy stuff that sounds cool alongside the rock band stuff, why not just add more to the everything? So it sort of fit into that everything thing, and we just added more and more stuff on top of it until we couldn't really, in the projections we added more and more stuff to this big old mess of an act until we couldn't anymore, and that's sort of where we landed. But then I don't know. I decided that we should keep using it because it's fun, and it's all wrapped in this big cardboard box that I cut up that Hannah gave me, because I didn't want to buy like a rack case for the gear. So it's a really janky setup, but it's kind of fun because we call it the over ear monitors, the playback rig, because we all just bring our headphones and plug into the interface. I don't know. It works. It's kind of silly, but it's not too expensive. It's really fun.
Wasn't there a particular Minnesota band that inspired you to keep track?
Oh, there were. Yeah, I saw LaSalle play a show in the. I think it was Como back. It was a Como venue. at the time run by Flavor World. Who Chop
Chop
Shop.
Shop.
Thank you. Yes. Oh my gosh. And yeah, no, it's just really cool stuff that Flavor World has been doing, and inspiring for like the scene. And I want to get out here and do stuff with more people around here. But I don't know. LaSalle were great, and they were playing with tracks, and I was like, wait, so a basement show, but and you can do that even if you're a small musician. And I sort of thought, wait, I could do that. I have an audio interface, and it wouldn't be that hard, and people aren't actually that upset if I say, hey, by the way, I have 2 extra channels that are playback left and right, and then the sound guy just pans them and sends them through the PA. I don't know. It's fun. It's yeah.
And we have one question that we like to ask every band that comes into Radio K. If you could play on a bill with 5 other bands, you guys play any bands, dead or alive, what would it be?
Each of us chooses one. Each of us chooses one.
Bob Marley and the Wailers.
Deerhoof.
Maybe like Led Zeppelin.
Yeah. Tough.
Actually, or like Jimi Hendrix.
It's really tough because I want to say,
Me and Tyler answered immediately, so you guys.
okay, it's not that tough for everybody. You know what? I'm gonna say Shoots because I think we played with Shoots recently, and that was one of my favorite shows we've ever played, and I love those guys, and so I'd love to play with them again.
This is really tough. Yes.
I'm gonna change mine one more time to Ookla the Mock.
The Beatles.
Good pick.
Pop music.
Safe pick. Classic pick. And you know, you guys based in Appleton, but you know, Minneapolis has a pretty cool scene, and it seems like you guys like playing here a lot. I was wondering what you think separates it from other cities.
I guess I can only compare it to the cities that I've actually been to. I mean, I'm from New York, and as a general thing, I love New York, but the scene here is so like real. The people feel real and genuine, and they're like kind, and they want to talk to you. And I just feel like I'm laying into New York really hard. It's just like New York is a lot about hype and like money and stuff, and it's not just that, but it's a big proponent, especially in like bigger bills and venues and stuff. But like, yeah, the kindest people I've met are like here in Milwaukee, and I would say the only difference between those two is like I found at least from the shows that we've played here, like Milwaukee's a lot heavier. It's a lot of more like, you know, metal and screamo and post-hardcore influences and stuff. But like, yeah, just like super tight knit. Everyone knows each other here, and I think that's really awesome.
Eli and I are both Minnesotan and have, you know, grown up in the areas around Minneapolis, and I think it's special because Minnesota Nice is real. I think there's great people everywhere, but there is like Isaac said, everybody that we see and meet at these shows is so kind and is so interested in what you have going on, and it's in a very real way, like you said. It's like there's no artifice. It's always like, hey, I want to do this thing with you because I really enjoy your stuff. There's nothing like that I've experienced is ever cutthroat or is trying to like get a leg up on somebody, because it's, I think, a very supportive, strong, proud community that we have, not just in the music, but also like generally, as we've seen in the last couple of months culturally. There's like that really wonderful Minnesotan culture that we can band together, and I think it extends to the creative scene. Absolutely.
Final question: what shows do you guys have coming up? And you know, is there any recordings or announcements or anything to look forward to?
I put out a recent song called Tokens on the internet. I think it's pretty cool. I'm trying to do other things than necessarily just rock music. It's fun to play in the rock band setting too, because it's so different. We're playing tomorrow at Graham Jams in Eau Claire, which is a really fun like college party basement venue. It's great. It's been so much fun. We'll play, I think, and I think in Milwaukee on April 10th as well. But just I don't know. We've all got a lot of different projects. I think that another band I play in with Isaac, called Quentin Fernandez. He's a composer from out in Appleton. Really, really incredible songwriter, singer, drummer, everything. We're playing in their band out here in May. I guess, yeah, I don't know. I've got recordings on the internet. I've got a website called. Well, here, you guys want to talk about your stuff,
Oh, I mean, sure.
or is that what we're? Should we just
Yeah.
talk about what we're involved in? Or?
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So I was saying I'm the frontman of a band called Lyle's Tree, and we're sort of in the process of an album rollout, which is pretty exciting. And we have our second ever music video coming out a week from today. It's called Particle Collider, and yeah, and we're gonna have. There's some secrecy still a little bit, but there's the album's coming out at the end of June in an undisclosed location, and it is going to be all physical media only, because we've kind of decided that, at least for us and for my personal ethos, streaming is not really where it's supposed to be, and yeah. So that's my main thing. And then I'm also in a band called Three Prong and a band called Ranch Camp that are both going to be doing stuff in the next year or two.
I just wanted to speak quickly on the just the physical media no streaming thing, because another band I'm in called Radio Caroline, which we already talked about, we're doing that, and it's really fun to just have stuff on Bandcamp and on cassettes and like be building a real life community. It means a lot to be able to connect people in real life instead of just on the internet. I don't know. Tyler, you talk.
Well, I would hate if we didn't mention Isaac Corby's Big Red Barn. I'm probably not the one to talk about it, but Isaac, Tyler, and myself, as well as a fourth member, Miles, are all in a band together. Miles Daly, who is also DJ Amazon Prime Day, as he is known by many names. But the four of us, well, you talk about us.
Yeah. So Isaac Corby's Big Red Barn originally started as Isaac Corby and the Tylers, and it was me and the Tylers. And we put out a record that was recorded by Hannah and mixed by Eli last year. Didn't do a ton of touring for it. I'm really pretty terrible about that kind of stuff. But we, it's we're all seniors except for Tyler, and so for my senior project, my music major, I was just going to make an album, and we added Miles on laptop. He sort of has like an Ableton project open with like 600 sounds or something, and like 599 of them don't work. And we recorded in a sort of way that I had been, I guess, kind of when we were recording Wilt, actually is probably the closest thing to it, of like recording separately. Like essentially we had a day for drums, we had a day for bass. I put the guitars on, and then Miles sprinkled his computer sauce all over everything. And we are still working on it. I'm mixing it with Eli and Quentin and Reed DeThorne, who's the bassist in Radio Caroline, and also Ergo. And also the Quentin Band, yes. Sorry. I love you, Reed. And hopefully that will be out sometime before the end of the school year, else I won't graduate. And then I'm also in a really exciting multi-genre band with the bassist of Lyle's Tree, Josue Rios Lopez. He's a band called Red Teddy, and we do a bunch of different kinds of stuff. We put out a record together that was just guitar and drums, based on a lot of improv stuff. We did a jazz record with like klezmer influences. We're working on mixing one right now that Quentin is sort of mainly engineering and stuff. A lot of stuff in the works.
I've pretty much exclusively delegated myself to other people. As in, I play drums in their band, and I don't really have my own project right now. Yes. So one day maybe I will, but I guess the only other two groups I'm in that haven't mentioned are I play drums on some of my brother Dylan Donnelly's songs. He's got some really great stuff going on. He's sort of the singer-songwriter, folk more sort of genre. And then also the band I mentioned previously with my father is named Mr. Myers. And we do like Caribbean trop rock, like Bob Marley, Jimmy Buffett. So yeah.
I was just going to say one more thing that I'm, I guess, just sort of grateful for is with just hearing everything that these guys have already said is I'm also a recording engineer and producer, and it's been really wonderful to get to work with all of these guys because I've engineered and in some cases mixed for Lyle's Tree, a little bit of Eli Orion, Isaac and Big Red Barn, Red Teddy, and some other stuff that a lot of and Radio Caroline. And it's been there was just one of these sort of promotional Instagram accounts just did this thing of a bunch of different cities in Wisconsin and 5 or 6 albums of local contemporary bands from the area. And for the slide on Appleton, I was kind of shocked because there were 5 albums, and I was I engineered 3 of those 5 albums. And so that was really wonderful, and I'm really excited because I'm starting to think more and more over the last month or two that in the fall I may come back as a recent graduate and work in a music studio in probably the Twin Cities or this area. So it's been really meaningful to get to work with so many people in the scene here.
I know that for you guys this is probably boring because you don't know any of the groups or people who we're talking about, but it just makes me so happy and proud of everything that we've done to hear to really hear it all said in one place about everything that everyone who we know is working on. And it's what are we gonna do when we leave school and we're not in the same, and it's that's just gonna branch out. We're just gonna build more connections with more people and make more cool stuff with everyone, and I'm really looking forward to it. So sorry if that was such an aside, Chuck, but
it's
we
fine.
have to talk about it.
I'd love to hear it, and the big love to you guys for coming in. Thanks so much. You've been listening to Radio oh my gosh.
Shout out Radio Caroline.
Shout out Radio Caroline.
Oh wait, also
pretty good stuff.
Well, yes.
You can.
Well, I forgot because I was gonna say that I have a website called EliOrion.com, but that's
Well, that website exists. EliOrion.com. You've been listening to Eli Orion on Radio K, Real College Radio.